Yeah, no, it was hugely refreshing to be able to get to know someone who isn't necessarily within your circle, doesn't know much about me, I don't know much about her. So to be able to start.
Everyone thought Harry and Meghan had it made when they bought their Montecito mansion. 9 bedrooms, 16 bathrooms, and neighbors like Oprah. But the bills never stop coming. Staff salaries, security teams, property maintenance, it all adds up to millions each year. Their income depends on deals that could disappear tomorrow. Local home values are dropping, and their Portugal investment is stuck in legal trouble. The question isn't whether they're struggling, it's how long they can keep up the payments before something has to give. In March 2020, Harry and Meghan had to flee Canada after their private address was exposed by the Daily Mail. At first, they thought they could find peace at Tyler Perry's Beverly Hills estate, but that didn't last long. Drones started flying just 20 feet above their house, sometimes 3 times a day. It got so bad that on Memorial Day weekend, paparazzi even managed to photograph baby Archie by the pool. That was their breaking point. They filed a lawsuit in Los Angeles and realized they needed to disappear completely. A few weeks later, they made the bold decision to buy a new home, somewhere they could finally feel safe. In June 2020, they secretly bought a property in Montecito for $14.65 million. It wasn't just any home, it was 7.4 acres of Mediterranean-style beauty tucked away behind private gates and hidden among neighbors like Oprah Winfrey and Ellen DeGeneres. The previous owner was a Russian oligarch who had paid $25.3 million for it in 2009 and tried to sell it for $34 million. He ended up taking a $10 million loss, and the deal was done privately using LLCs Meghan had set up to protect their identity. The house had once been valued at just over $14 million, so even on paper, the couple had already made a smart move. What's inside that house is nothing short of jaw-dropping. Nearly 19,000 square feet, 9 bedrooms, 16 bathrooms, a 2-story library with walls lined in leather-bound books, a full-size theater that seats 20. There's a wet bar and an arcade room right next to it. The ceilings are covered in dark wood beams, and the fireplaces feel like they were pulled out of a cathedral. The kitchen looks like something from a food magazine. Marble countertops, the best appliances money can buy. There's a wine cellar, spa, and 2 different kinds of saunas. Tyler Perry even gave them a grand piano as a gift. The whole house smells like rosewater candles from Soho House, and that scent has become part of their signature. But it's not just the house. The outside feels like a resort. There's an Olympic-sized swimming pool with a luxurious cabana that can host 200 guests. The tennis court is professional grade, with lights so they can play at night. Meghan planted her own rose gardens and vegetable plots. Every day, she walks out to do what she calls her end-of-day harvest. There's a koi pond, secret gardens, and rows of olive trees. One of the strangest things is that even though Montecito is all hills, their land is completely flat. That's incredibly rare and makes it perfect for private family events. Then there's Archie's Chick Inn. In 2021, Meghan built a chicken coop to rescue hens from factory farms. She says, "I just love rescuing." The kids also have their own fairy tale setup, a castle-style playhouse, a huge adventure playground with swings, slides, climbing walls, obstacle courses, and a princess-themed playroom. Inside the house, there's a top-of-the-line gym with Peloton equipment. Harry works out there often, but the most touching detail is something only they would notice. On the first tour of the property, Harry spotted 2 palm trees growing from the same base. He told Meghan, "That's us." Now, every morning, Archie greets the trees by saying, "Hi, Mama. Hi, Papa." Their investment has turned out to be massive. They bought the estate for $14.65 million, but by January 2025, Zillow estimated it at $29.6 million. That's a 110% jump in less than 5 years. During the same time, California's median home prices only rose by 41%, and even Montecito's increase was just 47%. Their monthly home value was rising by 6.2%. It's not just about timing. This was the Meghan Markle effect. Her presence alone raised interest in Montecito properties, and celebrity status added huge value. The couple had taken out a $9.5 million mortgage, so their equity had more than doubled. When they bought it, public records showed the house was valued at $14,099,456, which makes the appreciation even more impressive. Keeping it all safe wasn't easy. The estate has a wall all around it and a long driveway made of hand-cut Santa Barbara stone. After stalker threats in 2023 and burglaries nearby in 2025, they installed an advanced drone detection system. Lush landscaping blocks out any views from neighbors. In 2023, viral TikTok videos showed 3D aerial views of the property, racking up over 560,000 views. Security experts warned that those videos could be dangerous. That's why they now have a full security team, household staff, gardeners, and several nannies. But not everyone in Montecito was happy. Their frequent helicopter trips to Los Angeles caused so many noise complaints that the Montecito Journal covered it in 2022. Some neighbors said the quiet community had been turned into a tourist spot. Restaurants were filled with people hoping to catch a glimpse of Hollywood royalty. Local residents started calling Meghan the Starlet and accused the couple of bringing new money energy into their peaceful town. One podcast even joked that Meghan had traded royal tiaras for Tupperware, referring to her lifestyle brand. The attention had completely changed the vibe of Montecito. In 2024, Meghan Markle quietly launched a lifestyle brand that seemed sweet on the outside, but left her inner circle shaken in the strangest way. The jam wasn't just jam. It came in glass jars, each labeled with a number between 1 and 50. These weren't random numbers. They were rankings. Friends who got lower numbers felt it. Mindy Kaling even said she wondered what her number meant. The first jar, of course, went to Meghan's mother. Kris Jenner, Chrissy Teigen, and Tracy Ellis Ross all got their jars too. But not everyone did. People noticed. Some were hurt. Some were angry. What was supposed to be a homemade gift became a quiet way of sorting who mattered. And it worked. The raspberry version, priced as a premium item, sold out in hours under Meghan's new brand name, As Ever. It was all so personal, so polished, that she even built the jam story into her Netflix show, linking it back to childhood memories and the feeling of being loved through small, homemade things. But it wasn't just about jam. In her Montecito mansion, Meghan revealed something else on Netflix: a giant wine cellar, not a few shelves in a pantry. This was a full 500-bottle setup designed for entertaining Hollywood's most powerful people. She had her own wine brand now, As Ever Rosé, released in 2024 at $30 per bottle. It was a California blend of 4 grapes with 14.5% alcohol. Some critics said it tasted like a branding experiment more than a passion project, but it sold out fast. That momentum didn't last. Later batches sat longer on shelves, and her wine journey didn't become the cultural moment her team had hoped for. The cellar stood as a symbol. She was no longer playing catch-up with California elite. She had arrived. On September 14, 2024, that cellar helped host one of the flashiest parties Montecito had ever seen. Tyler Perry turned 55, and Meghan and Harry threw the celebration themselves just one day before Harry's 40th birthday. They packed their mansion with celebrities. Oprah was there. So were Alicia Keys, Gayle King, Aaron O'Connell, and the CEO of Paramount. Photographers caught Meghan laughing in the back seat of their black Range Rover while Harry held up his phone with a proud smile. The message was clear. They weren't just attending Hollywood events anymore. They were the ones throwing them. But all of this glamour comes with a price, a high one. The $14.65 million mansion eats up an estimated $330,000 every year in maintenance alone. That covers 10 to 15 full-time staff, gardeners, security, pool techs, people to care for the koi pond, the tennis court, the kids' playhouse, the chicken coop, and even the 200 olive trees on the property. This isn't the kind of house you can just lock up and leave. It needs attention every single day. Add private security, drivers, cooks, assistants, private school fees, and PR expenses. And experts believe their yearly spending could hit between $6 and $8 million. Justin Nielsen, a property expert, said it best. This isn't seasonal maintenance. It's a full-time operation. Then came the rumors, whispers about unpaid taxes. Numbers floated online. Some said they owed $20 million to the IRS, but 2025 records showed that wasn't true. No liens were found on their Montecito home. Still, they were not in the clear. That house came with a huge mortgage, and in 2024, home values in Montecito dropped 14.1%. Their mansion's value may have sunk to just $5.5 million, which means if they tried to sell it now, they could lose nearly $9 million. Meanwhile, a $4.7 million investment in Portugal sits unfinished. The Costa Terra Golf and Ocean Club home was supposed to be a backup plan. It turned into another expensive question mark. On the income side, Netflix extended its deal with them beyond the original $100 million contract from 2020. But it's not all smooth. Meghan's cooking show With Love. Meghan got 5.3 million views and earned a second season set for August 2025. Still, it didn't make Netflix's top 300 in early 2025. By contrast, the teen drama Adolescence hit 145 million views. Their earlier Harry and Meghan documentary remains their biggest streaming hit. Harry also brings in about $1 million a year from Better Up, a mental health startup, although legal questions about his work visa still swirl. The couple's Archewell Foundation pulled in $9 million in donations for 2024, but documents show much of that went toward promoting themselves, not direct charity work. Their ARO brand has been on pause for nearly a year due to legal issues over its trademark. Security alone eats $2 million from their budget. That's not an exaggeration. Because they lack royal protection, they have to pay out of pocket. Their property taxes come to $288,000 a year. Renovations in 2024 added another $500,000. Their Netflix crew was 80 people strong, which forced them to rent another house just to keep filming private. They've had to downsize staff by mid-2025, but they aren't celebrities with typical stalkers. Harry and Meghan face real threats. Al-Qaeda, white supremacist groups. That changes everything. Their security setup is extreme, but necessary. Now, compare that to King Charles. He controls a $25 billion real estate empire with palaces, castles, and cottages, all maintained with taxpayer money. William has the Duchy of Cornwall, a centuries-old system pumping out hundreds of millions yearly. Even Prince Andrew, despite scandal, still has his security paid for by Charles. But when Harry and Meghan stepped down in 2020, the money stopped. The only thing they had was Diana's inheritance. That's what paid for their down payment. Every dollar since then, they've had to earn. Archewell Productions, speaking gigs, product launches. Everything is built from scratch. There's no safety net, no centuries-old funding system backing them. Oprah Winfrey bought her estate for over $50 million, but by 2021, it had grown to be worth nearly $100 million. The property included not just a house, but a private lake, manicured gardens, and enough space for full privacy. That was where she filmed her interview with Harry and Meghan, just steps away from their own $14 million mansion. But what began as a quiet setup between neighbors quickly turned into tension across Montecito. Local columnist Richard Miniards said in 2025 that Oprah was always showing up at charity events and being part of the community. Meghan, on the other hand, avoided local functions and rarely engaged with other residents. One elderly historian even tried to deliver a documentary about Montecito to the Sussex House, but was stopped at the gate and never got through. Neighbors started calling Meghan the Princess of Montecito, saying she acted like a royal in exile, carefully managing how she looked, what she said, and how she behaved. Meanwhile, Oprah remained the opposite, open, familiar, and involved. That contrast became more obvious with time, and soon their homes weren't just neighbors. They were symbols of a quiet neighborhood divide. Right down the coast, Kevin Costner's ranch became another flashpoint. He spent $145 million on a massive beachfront estate, complete with an infinity pool and wide-open views. Starting in 2023, the place became known for glamorous fundraisers, but it didn't sit well with all the locals. Helicopters buzzed in and out, roads were blocked, security was everywhere. Rumors swirled that Harry and Meghan may have attended some events, but nobody would confirm. Costner's property shared a security perimeter with other celebrity estates, and fights broke out between management teams. Even airspace became an issue. When Costner filed for divorce that same year, paparazzi flooded the area and made things even worse. Neighboring homes had to tighten their own security just to cope. What should have been a quiet stretch of paradise became a hot spot of flashing cameras, fences, and silent arguments behind the scenes. Some residents even started thinking about leaving Montecito entirely, fed up with the endless disruptions. Then came the noise. In 2024, residents all over Montecito began complaining about sudden sonic booms shaking their homes. It turned out that SpaceX was launching rockets from a base just 60 miles away. Elon Musk's Vandenberg Space Force Base increased its launches from 36 to 50 per year, and the result was chaos. One angry homeowner wrote, "Enough! Let's stop the disruptive, arrogant sonic booms at night." I could hear the house creaking. Over 1,300 people signed a petition trying to stop the noise. Harry and Meghan's mansion wasn't immune. Their house shook during launches, and neighbors said the stress was constant. Wild animals were acting strange. People couldn't sleep. In 2024, community meetings were held to deal with the fallout, but nothing seemed to change. Police were called to the Sussex home 9 times in recent years, though nobody ever said why. It just added to the feeling that something was always going wrong in Montecito, and no one could really fix it. The stress only got worse when the real estate market collapsed. In 2024, home prices in Montecito dropped by 14.1%. Redfin's report showed the median home was worth $5.5 million, and houses were now selling in 43 days instead of 55. For people like Harry and Meghan, who paid $14 million for their mansion, the numbers were terrifying, but oddly, their specific house went up in value. By January 2025, experts said their security upgrades, new landscaping, and stylish interior renovations had made the place more desirable. While the rest of Montecito worried about falling prices, their property became a rare exception. It had become more than just a house. It was a brand, a statement, a fortress. That unique position helped it hold steady while other celebrity homes stumbled. Still, the overall drop shook the community. Some began asking whether it was smarter to sell now before things got worse. But nothing brought more bitterness to Montecito than the fight over one particular mansion. In 2020, Katy Perry bought a $15 million property from an elderly man named Carl Westcott. He was 85 years old and suffered from Huntington's disease. Soon after the sale, he claimed he hadn't been mentally sound when he signed the papers. What followed was a 5-year legal battle that tore through the celebrity world. In August 2025, court files showed that Orlando Bloom actually owned the house through a company named after their daughter. Katy Perry had tried to knock $6 million off the price due to fallen trees and flooding on the land. Chris Pratt, who had been renting the place with his wife Katherine Schwarzenegger, was pulled in as a possible witness. Westcott's family accused Perry of acting entitled and cold. She sued them back for lost income and damages. The whole ordeal dragged through Montecito's social groups, turning neighbors into opponents and making everyone cautious. The case showed just how quickly money, fame, and property could turn paradise into something tense and ugly. Elizabeth Taylor and her second husband, Michael Wilding, once climbed over a fence just to peek at a Beverly Hills mansion. They fell in love with it right away and bought it for what would now be around $15.9 million. MGM Studios reportedly gave them the money. It was 1954, and for a short while, it felt like a dream. But by 1957, everything collapsed. Rumors spread that Wilding had brought strippers into their home while Elizabeth was filming Giant. Their divorce forced them to sell the house, and it became just another public spectacle in her long list of marriages. That feeling of being watched, judged, and exposed never left her. Strangely, decades later, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle would find themselves living through something very similar. They bought a mansion in Montecito in 2020 and tried to make it a safe, quiet home. But the $33.5 million property has now sat unsold for over 1,500 days. Even though home values in their area jumped from $4.9 million to $8.6 million since 2019, their estate still hasn't moved. And like Elizabeth, their personal life became front-page news, with every home decision twisted into scandal. Marilyn Monroe knew what it felt like to want peace and never get it. She bought her only home in Brentwood for $90,000 in 1962. It was just 2,900 square feet. But to her, it was supposed to be her sanctuary. She once told Life magazine, "I don't want everybody to see exactly where I live." But the photographers never left her alone. Even with her efforts to stay hidden, the press kept pushing, and the calls kept coming. On August 4, 1962, just hours before she died, she was still answering calls she didn't want. She reportedly told Peter Lawford to say goodbye to Pat, say goodbye to the president. At 4:25 a.m., she was gone. Today, that same kind of pressure shadows Harry's life. After what happened to his mother, his obsession with safety makes sense. Monroe's home has been nearly torn down multiple times in 2025, and Harry's mansion has stayed empty, waiting for a buyer. Fame gave them everything and then, slowly, took it away. Howard Hughes had all the money in the world, but couldn't feel safe anywhere. In the 1940s, he started pulling away from everyone. By 1950, he was living in penthouse suites, with the curtains always closed. He wouldn't touch anyone's clothes. If someone near him got sick, he'd burn everything they left behind. In 1966, he bought the entire Desert Inn in Las Vegas for $33 million just so he wouldn't be kicked out. He walked around naked. He wore tissue boxes on his feet. His life turned into complete isolation. He died in 1976, after spending more than 2 decades in dark rooms. Prince Harry's security obsession isn't that extreme, but the feeling is the same. His $14 million home is filled with cameras, hidden exits, and escape plans. He spends over $4 million a year just on security. For both men, wealth created walls, but those walls became cages. The outside world wasn't welcome, and the inside world was too quiet. Judy Garland never had control over her life, even when she looked like she did. In 1940, she signed a contract with MGM that paid her $680,000 a year. But it came with a price. They made her work 40 weeks out of every year. They gave her pills to stay awake and pills to sleep. In 1947, it all became too much, and she tried to end her life. MGM responded by suspending her. In 1950, they fired her. 15 years of fame, and she still ended up broke. The studio made over $200 million from her movies. She saw almost none of it. Meanwhile, Harry and Meghan walked away from the royal family and chose a different path. Their $100 million Netflix deal and other media deals helped them buy their Montecito mansion without outside help. They turned public rejection into private control. While Judy died almost penniless, Harry and Meghan now control what stories get told and how they're told. They're reportedly worth about $60 million. If Elizabeth Taylor lived today, she probably would have used fake scandals to control the real ones. In 2025, more than 365 fake accounts posted the same rumors about Kate Middleton at the exact same time. The stars of Hollywood's golden age would have been experts at using social media. Marilyn Monroe could have made TikToks go viral just by walking into the light. Howard Hughes might have hidden behind anonymous profiles using crypto to keep control. Judy Garland could have used platforms like Cameo or even subscription services to speak directly to fans, keeping studios out of it. Unlike today's stars, who struggle with fake news posts that get 69% of the clicks, the old Hollywood stars were trained to twist the spotlight in their favor. They would have fought fire with fire and probably won. In September 2025, records showed Harry and Meghan filed for a $2.8 million renovation to add a 3,200-square-foot guest wing. It would have 6 new bedrooms, a commercial kitchen, and a private entrance for guests with their own bodyguards. They hired the same firm that worked on Ellen DeGeneres' estate. Once it's finished, the total size of their home will be nearly 22,000 square feet. Some neighbors have already started complaining. One said the noise would ruin the peace of their neighborhood. But the couple seems focused on building something bigger, maybe even a hub for famous friends with nowhere to hide. But all of this could fall apart quickly. If Netflix doesn't renew their deal in 2027, the home's $29 million value could crash. Experts say it could be worth only $35 million without that streaming glow. One nearby home used in their documentary dropped from $33.5 million to under $30 million and still hasn't sold after 4 years. Harry and Meghan pay $47,000 a year just for wildfire insurance. Their security costs and property bills go over $380,000 annually. If their income fades, their lifestyle might follow. Some are already calling it a celebrity real estate death spiral. Their dream house in Portugal hasn't helped either. They paid $4.7 million for land at the Costa Terra Golf and Ocean Club. They only paid 30% up front, so they still owe $329 million. But building stopped because of lawsuits from environmental groups. Locals call it the American invasion. They've already lost $180,000 in fees and another $240,000 due to currency shifts. It might not be ready until the end of 2025. For now, it's just another burden. At home, something more personal is happening. In July 2025, design plans revealed a $150,000 nursery project. It includes soundproof walls, hospital-grade air filters, and even an emergency communication system worth $25,000. There's a nanny room with a private entrance and a $40,000 security setup with panic access. Insiders say they're preparing for a third child, maybe even twins. Meghan has visited fertility clinics 3 times since March 2025. One clinic admitted they treated a royal patient for advanced planning. Even their family plans are touched by the fear that someone is always watching. And that fear is justified. Since January 2025, more than 47 fake listings have appeared online pretending their house is for sale. Prices range from $15 million to $50 million, none of them real. These stories generate huge attention, often over 340% more than actual listings from other celebrities. Experts believe someone is trying to sabotage their business deals by making them look desperate. These fake stories show up every 2.3 weeks. In this world, even your home can be used against you.